There is a saying, there is the woman who is left and the woman who is chosen. In 1978, the lives of two women quietly intersected over a single man. One was abandoned by her husband, left to move out of her home while pregnant, and forced to give birth and raise her children alone. The other was chosen by that same husband, and after waiting 7 long years for his divorce, she was finally able to become his wife. The abandoned woman and the chosen woman. Normally, they would be rivals, consumed by resentment and hatred. But here lies a strange truth. The abandoned woman never spoke a single ill word of her ex-husband. To her daughters, she said only one thing: "Your father was a handsome and charismatic man. Why did she not resent him, despite being left behind?" Meanwhile, was the chosen woman, Evelyn, truly happy? The married life she had waited 7 years for which she had given up the chance to have children multiple times, lasted a mere 5 months. Did being chosen mean the same thing as being happy? Or was it something else entirely? And we must also consider the man, Julian Vance. Did he truly love, or was he merely loved? He was a man who abandoned his wife and forced his lover to give up her pregnancies time and again. Yet he was also a man who never left his wife's hospital room for 209 consecutive days. Who was he, really? This is a story of 3 choices and a story of 3 silences. Who was right and who was wrong is for you, the reader, to decide. It all began on a production set in 1977. On the 25th of October 1957, a girl was born in New York City. Her name was Evelyn Reed. Growing up in a family that ran a small boutique in Soho, she was captivated by the Italian film Sunflower at the age of 17. The image of its star, Sophia Loren, inspired her to become an actress. However, her mother, Eleanor, vehemently opposed her daughter entering the entertainment industry. On the day of Evelyn's debut, it is said that Eleanor threw a perfume bottle at her, screaming, "A daughter who becomes an actress is no daughter of mine." Despite this, Evelyn chose the path of an actress. Torn between the desire for her mother's approval and the refusal to give up on her dream, she stepped into the world of show business. In 1976, while working as a model, an opportunity came her way. A commercial for Summer Kiss cookies, which would air in 1977. It was on this set that she met the man who would change her destiny. Julian Vance, a 27-year-old commercial director. A graduate of NYU's film school, he had worked his way up through the advertising world. He had come from a working-class family in Ohio, changing his name and reinventing himself in the big city. And he already had a wife who was pregnant with their second child. When they met on set, Julian was 27 and Evelyn was 20. The commercial became a massive hit, and it was this success that propelled her to stardom. The name of the product, Summer Kiss, was Julian's idea, inspired by the summer theme of the ad. He had a wife, and his wife was pregnant. Evelyn knew this, yet they were drawn to each other and their relationship deepened. A daughter unapproved by her mother, and a man with a family. From the very beginning, their love was cast in a deep shadow. In January 1977, when Julian's second daughter was born, her father was not at the hospital. The baby girl, born on January 11, was named Maya. Her father was absent. Maya would later write that her father had left home before she was even born. Julian had gone to a residential hotel on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where he began a new life with Evelyn. His ex-wife, Catherine, faced childbirth alone and chose to raise her children by herself. In the beginning, she worked from home as a seamstress, her days spent hunched over her sewing machine while caring for 2 young daughters. As the girls entered elementary school, she began working as an insurance agent, supporting her family as a single mother. Still, she made sure her daughters could take ballet lessons and attend private school. To be a single mother in 1970s, America was by no means an easy life. Catherine never remarried. Even after more than 30 years had passed since the divorce, she raised her daughters alone. Whether she never had the opportunity for a new relationship or chose not to, no one knows. She herself has never spoken of it. It is hard to imagine she did not have lonely nights in over 30 years of solitude. It is hard to imagine there were not moments when she wished she had someone to lean on. But she never showed this vulnerability to anyone, not even her daughters, and simply lived her life in silence. One thing must be added: Julian consistently paid child support. Though he had left home, he fulfilled his financial responsibilities as a father. Whether this was out of love or a sense of duty, only he knew. Maya grew up without knowing her father's face. She had no memories of living with him. One day, her mother pointed to a photograph in a newspaper and said, "That man is your father." That was the first time Maya saw his face. But here lies the mystery. Her mother never spoke a single bad word about him, abandoned, left while pregnant, gave birth alone and raised her children alone, never remarried. It would have been natural to be resentful, natural to complain to her daughters. But the only thing her mother ever told them was, "Your father was a handsome and charismatic man. Only praise, not a word of bitterness." Was this strength? Was it resignation? Or was it a gift to her daughters? At the age of 13, Maya was accepted into a prestigious private middle school. To share the news, she met her father for the first time. The meeting place was a cafe in Greenwich Village. Her older sister was with her. Maya still remembers that day vividly, saying she thought, "He's such a big man," as she saw him standing there, larger than life. That was the first time she had seen her father since she was old enough to remember. So, how did Evelyn, the chosen woman, spend those 7 years? Was she truly chosen? From 1978 to 1984, the two of them lived in that Upper West Side hotel. When Julian arrived, he had only a single suitcase. He was burdened with enormous debt from the divorce settlement and was nearly penniless. It was through the kindness of the hotel manager that Julian was able to live there for over 7 years, sometimes even spending money for nights out in the city. They were not an official couple, because Julian was still legally married. Evelyn waited for his divorce. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years passed. As an actress, Evelyn Reed was shining brilliantly. In 1978, she became a breakout star playing a complex android in the sci-fi TV series Kronos. And in 1982, she won a Golden Globe for Best Actress for her role in the film Orchid and Thorn. Her famous line from that movie, "Don't you dare write me off," was an ad-lib, not in the original script. On screen, she was strong, beautiful, and full of radiance. But in her private life, she was a woman who waited. Beside a man in debt, she simply waited for the divorce papers to arrive. Julian did not want children. Evelyn became pregnant several times, but each time she chose to terminate the pregnancy. Over and over, she gave up the life that had taken root inside her. The chosen woman was not permitted to have children. This fact was later confirmed by both Julian and Evelyn's mother. It is said that Evelyn wanted children, but she respected his wishes. Was it love, or was it the fear of losing him? The price of being chosen was not small. In the entertainment industry of the 1980s, it was not uncommon for an actress to be expected to retire upon marriage, and having a child meant taking a long break from work. Whether Julian's reasons were his own or to protect Evelyn's career, only he knew the truth. Her mother, Eleanor, was strongly against the relationship. He was a married man, and on top of that, he was in debt. She must have told her daughter countless times, "Leave that man." Evelyn once reportedly said, "I want mom's approval, but she's my dearest enemy." It was a love her mother could not accept, but Evelyn's resolve never wavered. In 1980, Julian's divorce was finally finalized, but the two did not marry right away. Why did they have to wait another 4 years? The reason involved the presence of another woman. After a 3-year separation, Julian's divorce became official in 1980. They should have been free to marry, but they did not. 1,981, 1,982, 1,983 passed by. Why the further delay? The truth is, for a time after the divorce, they grew distant. For Evelyn, who had waited 7 years, he was finally free. Yet their relationship became more complicated. One reason was another woman. During this time, there was the shadow of another woman in Julian's life, the actress Isabella Rossi. Sources from that period testify that Evelyn Reed and Isabella Rossi were fighting over Julian, two popular actresses vying for the same man. This love triangle was covered extensively by the tabloids, and the names Julian Vance, Evelyn Reed, and Isabella Rossi were repeated endlessly on television. It was a major scandal. What painful days those must have been for Evelyn. The man she had waited 7 years for was involved with another woman, and the whole affair was being reported nationwide. She was supposed to have been chosen, yet she was forced to wait again. It is said that Evelyn was deeply depressed, but she channeled her frustration into her work. She poured her entire being into filming Orchid and Thorn in 1982, and perhaps that ad-libbed line, "Don't you dare write me off," was directed at someone specific. In 1984, Evelyn made a decision. She realized that if she kept waiting, she might lose him to Isabella. It is said that she took the initiative and actively pursued him. A source confirms their marriage was the result of her determined pursuit. She transformed from a woman who waits to a woman who seizes what she wants. She wasn't chosen. She took it for herself. On the 27th of August 1984, they were finally married. A 7-year love affair had at last borne fruit. Her mother, Eleanor, objected until the very end, but Evelyn stood by her choice. In the summer of her 27th year, she finally became the wife of Julian Vance. But that happiness would not last long. Just 5 months later, fate delivered a cruel blow. It was Valentine's Day, the 14th of February 1985. Evelyn was starring in the Broadway play The Foolish Woman, but she had begun to feel unwell. A canker sore in her mouth had grown to the size of a quarter. That night, she went to the hospital for tests. The diagnosis was acute myeloid leukemia. Her prognosis was short, 1 month at best, a year at most. The moment the doctor told her she needed to be hospitalized and the play would be canceled, Evelyn screamed, "If you tell me to quit the play, I'll kill myself," and broke down in tears. Her co-star, Mark Rylance, persuaded her to finally agree to go to the hospital. Her passion as an actress did not fade, even in the face of a life-threatening crisis. Julian and the family made a decision. They would not tell her the real name of her illness. They told her she had severe anemia, hiding the true diagnosis. Why did they hide the truth? Evelyn had a childhood friend named Aki, who had also died of leukemia. The family feared that the memory of losing a close friend would drive Evelyn to despair, so they chose to conceal the truth. On February 17, Evelyn was admitted to Mount Sinai Hospital. She believed her illness was aplastic anemia, a condition she thought was curable with treatment. Julian stayed by his wife's side, and a 209-day hospital vigil began. For 209 days, Julian never left her. He went to the hospital every day, turning down all work. That seemingly unreliable man gave up everything just to be with his wife. Was it love, or was it atonement? During her hospitalization, Evelyn's brother noticed something strange. One day, he found Evelyn trying to climb out the window. "What are you doing?" he shouted, rushing to stop her. Whether she knew the truth or had another reason, we will never know. But within her heart, there may have been a suffering we could not see. In the hospital room, mother and daughter did embroidery together. The motif was a sunflower. The two who had once been at odds, the mother who had thrown a perfume bottle and declared her daughter was no longer hers, and that daughter were now creating the same thing together. What did they talk about as their needles moved? Those who saw Evelyn in the hospital described her as serene. Perhaps it was in that room that mother and daughter finally came to understand each other. Meanwhile, in a quiet suburb, Julian's 2 daughters were growing up. The older sister had graduated high school, and Maya was in middle school. They must have heard their father's name on television as the husband of Evelyn Reed. What did they think, knowing that their father's new wife, a woman they had never met, was ill? No one knows what was in their hearts. Treatment began, but there was a problem. A side effect of the chemotherapy was hair loss. For an actress, hair was everything. For the first and second rounds of chemo, the family, fearing hair loss above all, chose a weaker drug with fewer side effects. But a weaker drug also meant a weaker effect. Evelyn's mother would later say she deeply regretted that choice, wondering if a stronger drug might have saved her. But at the time, everyone was trying to make the best decision they could. One day, Julian brought a watermelon to the hospital. Evelyn took a bite and murmured quietly, "This watermelon is seedless. I couldn't leave any seeds behind either." Did she regret the children she had given up? The chosen woman was never able to have a child. Julian could say nothing. When her hair began to fall out from the treatment, Evelyn reportedly said, "They say I'm the actress who looks best with a shaved head in all of America. I don't mind one bit." She had shaved her head for her role in Kronos. She must have been proud of that part. At the time, there was a new experimental treatment available, but it was said to cost around $1 million. For Julian, who was still in debt from his divorce, that sum was impossible. He later said, "If I had $1 million then, maybe I could have saved Evelyn. After that, I decided I would never again live a life where I could be swayed by money." In August, Evelyn's condition worsened. But until the end, she worried about her mother, telling her brother, "Chris, go home early and look after Mom." She was dying, yet she was concerned for her mother. To the very end, Evelyn was a daughter. On August 20th, Evelyn begged Julian to see fireworks. He lifted his wife in his arms, carried her to the window, and they watched the fireworks together. But the hospital window was sealed shut. They could see the fireworks, but they couldn't hear the sound. In the silent sky, only light scattered. That night, Evelyn wrote a short poem. Silent bursts in the sky, starflowers bloom and fade. It was 40 days before she passed away. On the 11th of September 1985, at 10:16 a.m., Evelyn Reed passed away at the age of 27. Her last words were, "I want to go back to Vermont." Vermont was her mother's home state, and Evelyn had spent happy childhood summers there. She had even visited with Julian about 3 years before her death. In her final moments, perhaps she wanted to return to being a child. The 11th of September 1985, 10:16 a.m., Evelyn Reed, 27 years old. Their marriage lasted only 8 months. If you exclude the time she was in the hospital, it was just 5 months. 7 years of waiting for 5 months. That was the time she was given as a wife. Evelyn's poems still exist. They were published posthumously in a small literary journal, placing her words alongside those of established poets. Not as an actress, but as a poet, her words live on beyond her time. Her mother, Eleanor, lost her daughter. In 2008, Eleanor also passed away from a progressive neurodegenerative disease. She was 74. The mother who had sent her daughter off into the world quietly departed it herself. After Evelyn's death, Julian fell apart. He drowned himself in alcohol and gambling, eventually being hospitalized for alcoholism. Living or dying, it all felt the same, he said. The person who saved him was the writer Leo Maxwell, a gonzo journalist known for his gritty novels. Maxwell took Julian on a cross-country trip, a strange form of salvation that involved poker games in dusty towns. But that journey brought Julian back to life. In 1990, he published a novel, Ceremony. It was a work he spent 5 years writing, detailing the 209-day hospital vigil. At the time, he thought it would be his last novel, but this work made him a true writer. He won a prestigious literary award in 1991 and the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1992. The man who had lost his wife was reborn as an author. In 1992, Julian remarried. His new wife was the actress Olivia Hayes, Evelyn's best friend, who had been like a sister to her. The matchmaker was another friend, a former pop star who had married Evelyn's brother, becoming her sister-in-law. The wedding was held on the 7th anniversary of Evelyn's death. Julian had waited for that day to remarry. Olivia, then 44, said, "I'm glad I've lived for 44 years. Julian's proposal was reportedly, "Would you like to come see where I was born?" When Julian decided to write a book about Evelyn, he first asked Olivia for her permission. Olivia consented. Julian later said, "If she had said no, I wouldn't have written a word. To me, the person who is alive is more important than the one who is gone. To cherish the wife by his side more than the wife who had passed." That was the answer he arrived at. Is this coldness? Or is it a form of integrity? The answer may differ depending on who you ask. And what became of his first wife, Catherine? She never remarried. For over 30 years after the divorce, she supported her family alone, transitioning from a seamstress to an insurance agent, and raised her daughters. Her eldest daughter married and had 3 sons, and Maya is said to enjoy spending time with her nephews. Catherine is still alive and well. On Mother's Day in 2025, Maya wrote, "Mom, thank you for everything. Please stay healthy for a long time to come." The abandoned woman is still living her life, quietly. The second daughter, Maya, became an actress and a writer. In a short story she once wrote, there is a line that says, "If I were kidnapped, would my father come to rescue me?" It was a question she had carried since childhood. A father she had never lived with. The first time they met, she was 13. And yet, Maya says, "My father is my ideal man. He's like an artistic jock, if that makes sense. He has this incredible charisma. I'm completely smitten with him." Because her mother never spoke ill of her father, the daughter grew up without hating him. This was the result of the abandoned woman's silence. In 2021, Maya convinced her stubborn father to go to the dentist, and Julian later thanked her, saying, "Thanks for recommending a good dentist." Starting in 2022, Maya began helping with the accounting at her father's office. It took nearly 60 years, but father and daughter finally began working together. The abandoned woman left no resentment, and her daughter continued to love her father. The mother's simple words, "Your father was a handsome and charismatic man," may have changed her daughter's life. The three lives followed their own paths, and three questions remained. On the 14th of December 2023, Julian Vance passed away from cancer at the age of 73. It is said that his wife, Olivia, was by his side at the end. It was 38 years after Evelyn Reed's death. Before he died, Julian once told baseball star Derek Jeter, "Don't ever marry an actress. 99% of them are selfish. But I was lucky enough to meet the 1% exception, twice in a row. Catherine, the first wife, is still alive, living quietly, surrounded by her daughters and grandchildren. Why did the abandoned woman never speak a word of resentment? The answer lies within her daughter. The words, "My father is my ideal man. I'm completely smitten with him," are proof. If her mother had spoken ill of him, her daughter might have grown up hating him, and they might never have reconciled or worked together. The abandoned woman's silence may have been her final gift to her daughter. Was the chosen woman truly happy? A love she waited 7 years for. Pregnancies she gave up multiple times. A marriage of only 5 months. The words she murmured in front of the watermelon, "I couldn't leave any seeds behind either," may have been her true feelings. Or perhaps it was just a fleeting moment of weakness. Whether being chosen was the same as being happy, only she knows the answer. And the man, Julian Vance, did he love or did he use? A man who left his wife, forced his lover to give up her pregnancies, and had a relationship with another woman. But at the same time, a man who never left his wife's hospital room for 209 days. A man who spent 5 years writing a book about her. A man who visited her grave for 7 years before remarrying. His words, "To me, the person who is alive is more important than the one who is gone. Are they cold? Or are they his own form of sincerity?" The answer may change depending on the viewer. 3 lives, 3 choices, 3 silences. Who was right? Who was wrong? The answer is likely unknowable, or perhaps there is no answer at all. The only thing we can say for certain is that all 3 of them lived by their choices.